Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. Well, it appears that the US is investing in our AI future, at least kind of. Plans for the US government to take a stake in Intel appear to be moving forward. Bloomberg reports that the Trump administration plans to acquire a 10% stake in Intel, a move which would make the government the largest single shareholder of the company. Sources said that the rationale for the deal was that Intel is slated to receive around $10.9 billion in grants under the CHIPS Act. The government plans to take equity in equivalent size, which amounts to a roughly 10% stake. The reporting did note that the exact size of the stake, as well as the final decision to move forward, are still to be finalized. And Bloomberg's White House source also floated the idea of converting other CHIPS Act awards into equity stakes, which could impact firms like TSMC, Samsung, and Texas Instruments. Now, the entire premise of this deal was to rescue Intel's troubled manufacturing project in Ohio. The project was enabled by the CHIPS Act, but the actual distribution of funds was tied to hitting particular benchmarks. So far, Intel has received $2.2 billion in grant disbursements, and progress on the Ohio facility has stalled. The reporting pondered whether the deal would allow an acceleration of funding in exchange for the equity stake, but there is a whole lot of uncertainty around how the deal will function. The only thing that's clear is that the administration apparently wants equity in return for distributing CHIPS Act grants. Alongside the new reporting on the government's deal-making, Bloomberg reports that SoftBank has taken a surprised interest in Intel. The company has agreed to buy $2 billion worth of Intel stock in a private fundraising round. CEO Masa Son said in a statement, "For more than 50 years, Intel has been a trusted leader in innovation. This strategic investment reflects our belief that advanced semiconductor manufacturing and supply will further expand in the United States, with Intel playing a critical role." The deal comes as SoftBank doubles down on their commitment to building AI infrastructure in the United States. Last week, SoftBank acquired the Foxconn electric vehicle plant in Ohio for $375 million, with a view to converting it into a manufacturing facility for AI server equipment. Now, many commentators were already alarmed at the idea of the government taking a stake in Intel in exchange for a bailout, but this new reporting casts the deal in a totally different light. This does not sound like the government aiding a struggling company with a more generous package. It sounds like taking a pound of flesh in exchange for following through with existing commitments. Reason editor Nick Gillespie writes, "If Nippon, US Steel, Nvidia, and Intel deals mean anything, it's that the Trump's industrial policy is pay to play. Terrible for people who want to live in a world of permissionless innovation, rule of law, and limited government." The editorial board of the Wall Street Journal is also not optimistic for the chance of success, writing, "This is corporate statism and rarely does it end well. Political control hamstrings innovation and investment as managers look to their government overlords for approval." To the extent anyone thinks this will work, the logic is that the government will be able to influence other US companies to buy from Intel, giving them the revenue they need to justify the Ohio facility. Although that, frankly, to me is not all that appealing as an outcome either. And there are many for whom it's not just the idea of the US government being involved in the sector, it's the particular horse they're betting on. Aidan Gold writes, "Intel is a sinking ship that will not secure America's chip dominance for decades to come. USG buying 10% is poor capital allocation. We need to deploy capital to innovative chip companies, not bureaucracies." Ultimately, the big question is whether Intel already has the capital required to finish construction of a cutting-edge chip fab or not. And if not, we'll quickly find out if the government is interested in making the necessary investments or just focused on taking a cut. Now, staying on the theme of big nationally relevant infrastructure, the Tennessee Valley Authority has agreed to buy electricity from a small nuclear power plant that's expected to be completed by 2030. Kairos Power is building a demonstration reactor in Tennessee that will operate at 50 megawatts. The reactor will be one of the first Gen 4 small modular reactors to begin operation in the US. It's part of a broader partnership with Google that aims to deploy 500 megawatts of small nuclear reactors across a longer time frame. The TVA agreeing to buy the power allows the project to go ahead, with excess power not used by Google's data center feeding into the grid. The contract is the first of its kind and a major milestone in the process of bringing new nuclear power generation online in the US. Don Moule, the CEO of the TVA, said, "Nuclear is the bedrock of the future of energy security. Google stepping in and help shoulder the burden of the cost and risk of a first-of-a-kind nuclear projects not only helps Google get to those solutions, but it keeps us from having to burden our customers with development of that technology. So it's not just good for Google, it's good for TVA's 10 million customers. It's good for the United States." And it couldn't come at a better time because there is a lot of increased chatter around the issue of data center energy usage. A wave of reporting this summer has highlighted that the existing US energy supply is not keeping up with the accelerated AI buildout. Last week, the energy watchdog for the Northeast grid run by PJM Interconnection warned that the grid is already tapped out and recommended that new data centers should be, quote, required to bring their own generation. In that light, of course, rapidly moving ahead with experiments in small modular reactors is a timely decision. While this type of reactor is unproven in the US, China has multiple test reactors and is about to open their first commercial reactor. We're still a long way from solving the issue of AI energy demand, but the contract is a promising early step towards bringing nuclear power back to the US. Next in the headlines, we move over to a product update. Shashir, the CEO of Grammarly, writes, "Our Grammarly AI agents are here. Today, we're launching 8 new AI agents designed for students and professionals. These agents help with everything from finding credible sources to predicting reader reactions. We created many of these agents with students in mind because they're the first generation entering a job market where employers expect both subject expertise and AI fluency." So TLDR, after merging with Coda last year, Grammarly has now released their new document-based interface to flesh the service out into a full productivity app. Users can now complete drafting and layout tasks in a new interface that Grammarly is calling their AI native writing surface. Speaking to some of the challenges we were talking about on this week's Long Read Sunday, Jenny Maxwell, the head of Grammarly for Education, wrote, "Students today need AI that enhances their capabilities without undermining their learning. Grammarly's new agents fill this gap, acting as real partners that guide students to produce better work while ensuring they develop real skills that will serve them throughout their careers. By teaching students how to work effectively with AI now, we're preparing them for a workplace where AI literacy will be essential." The new agents include Grader, which can provide feedback based on an instructor's guidelines, Reader Reactions, which allows the user to define a reader persona and get feedback from that perspective, Expert Review, which offers subject matter expertise and topic-specific feedback to elevate writing in a particular field, Citation Finder to ensure the references section is correct, Proofreader, which offers inline suggestions to improve clarity, and Paraphraser, which can change the tone of the writing overall. I think it's good that the companies in this space are trying to explore this line of how to deal with how AI negatively impacts some of the foundations of education while also helping students be AI literate, although I think ultimately it's going to take more than even a well-thought-out software suite to get there. Lastly today, an update from the open source fields. OpenAI's open source model has been out for a few weeks now, and the tinkering has begun in earnest. One of the more interesting modifications came from Jack Morris, an AI researcher at Meta. He claimed to have stripped out all the reasoning to recreate the base model. In other words, a base model that just predicts the next token in a string of text based on pre-training alone. Now, in the process of stripping away reasoning, Morris seems to have removed all of the alignment training as well, resulting in a much less censored and unconstrained version of the model. He wrote, "Turning GPT-OSS back into a base model appears to have trivially reversed its alignment. It will now tell us how to build a bomb. It will list all the curse words it knows. It will plan a robbery for me." Now, at this stage, this is less about having some practical use case and more about just exploring what can be done with an open weights model. But to the extent that this is something that OpenAI or other US labs are going to prioritize, these sort of experiments are going to be important to understand what really happens when you release an open weights model into the world. For now, though, that's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief Headlines edition. Next up, the main episode.